All right, I want to start off giving all praise, honor, and glory. Call halal Allah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Ha Harachakram. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth for faith and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Shalom to the Aqua thing named Akim out there listening and learning. Shalom to the confusion of faith brethren joining into our ranks. Shalom to the sincere Akim out here risking their life to do this work in the will of Yahweh while Yahweh Shah. This is the brother Yahweh Sap out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant coming at you with another lesson. Today I'm doing a lesson on a book I'm reading. This is the title of the book. It says The American Apocalypse is the United States in Bible Prophecy. The author is Terry James, and that's a picture of him. And although he appears to, look like an Edomite, who's to say if he is one or not? By the way, I know it's a decree about shorts, the camp. And I'm sure it was just the camp, or the way I heard it, it was just the camp. So if that extended to all videos and all like works of the Lord, then you know I will actually follow suit. But that wasn't the way I understood the decree. So, but like I said, Salaki, if I'm going off, and like I said, once I do hear a decree, I'll make sure, you know, even in videos, you know, because basically, you're trying to stay upright and disciplined in this thing. I was just watching Apostle Ramla do a video on that, discipline. And in all things, you need discipline, That's one of the reasons for the law, statutes, and commandments. Quiet as kept. But not to digress. Anyhow, I was, looking at the video, Slaki, the book, and it, I read a few chapters of it out of it, and it pushed me, the spirit moved me to want to do a video off of it. So, basically, it's the accent is, the Bible mentioned in the prophecy, and it goes off to a certain extent. This guy, what really kills me is that, these so-called Bible scholars, they actually, they know, the Hebrew and the Greek and the Latin, and they know all this biblical history, but then, can't see that those people don't fit the prophecies of the real, Israelites. But he is dead on a lot of other stuff. So that's why, like I said, through the Spirit moved me to do this lesson. So I'm gonna read the scripture and jump straight into it. Of course, because we know this to be Babylon the Great. You know. So this is the book of Jeremiah 51:7. What's Salakia? Salakia, this is the scripture I really should start off with. This is the book of Revelation 17:1. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon, the great mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And basically, that's America's place in Bible prophecy. This is the only place that, and, it's waxing worse and worse, but it should be no, I shouldn't need any persuasion to get you to realize. Look at, come on, like I said, the brother from Man of Valor, the brother Gabar, he always goes into how you got the transgender child, the little boy that thinks he's a little girl that's actually allowed, around transgender, transsexual, these homosexual men, and nobody has anything to say about it. Like, that's one thing about that brother. He brings out a lot of information. That's why I tend to listen. So at the end of the day, if you don't think this is the harlot or the mother of abominations, you gotta, like the one brother in his camp, I don't know his name. He was said, that show you the power of the Most High. The Most High is so cold. he put the idea in your head to bug you all the way out. Like you got men in this place, America, that think they're women. You got women in this abominable place, America, that think they're men. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got people that's actually marrying computers and trees and fucking, you know what I mean? Like, so without further ado, it says America Apocalypse, and this is the subtitle to, you know, I guess this paragraph. It says, "Judgment of nations coming." According to Bible prophecy, a judgment of nations is coming. A judgment is given in the following prophetic scriptures: "When the Son of Man shall come in His glory." So I'm gonna go to it real quick. It says, "When the Son of Man shall come in His glory, and all the holy angels with Him, then shall He sit upon the throne of His glory." And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from one another. So like it one from another, as the shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. 33, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Verse 34, then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. And the ones on his left, he shall say, then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. These prophecies generate additional questions. So I'm gonna skip that. Well, he asks a question. He says, these prophecies generate additional questions, including what criteria will Christ use to judge the nations that are allowed to inherit the millennial kingdom? It ain't no millennial kingdom. That's them Christians that trying to, like I say, like we was just talking about. That's the spirit too, because they was just going in the vocab Malone, trying to actually, you know, you trying to scratch and claw in any kind of way, find any kind of way to get in. This is not a kingdom for everybody. You know what I mean? And it's so cold how the Most High did it too, because at the end of the, you're Israelite by blood. You know what I mean? And although you know Israelites won't look like the original Israelites because they've been scattered abroad. You got Israelites that's looking like the people of those lands. That show you how it ain't a color thing. You know what I mean? As much as they try to say we were racist, how the fuck is we racist when racist just simply means for your race? So I guess in a way we are racist because we want the people, our people, the Israelites, to be back in power. So I guess we are racist. But as far as like colorblind, like we are colorblind because we understand, we try things by the Spirit. Because it says in the book of Romans 8:16, the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we're the children of the Most High. You can't fake this thing. And that's what the brother was just saying at camp yesterday. At the end of the day, you're gonna be able to tell the spirit of an Israelite. He's gonna have a certain zeal. He's gonna be able to, you can see a Edomite looking woman, but she just dancing her ass off. You know what I mean? Like, and then you can see. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got some Jake that can't dance. You know, and they might be tears. You know what I mean? Necessarily, all rhythm don't necessarily mean you a motherfucking Israelite. Because you got some Israelites that can't dance but can fight their ass off. You know what I mean? Like if you just, but everything is carnal based. You know what I mean? Um, I'm gonna skip that part. It says this book would attempt to address these and other questions as they relate particularly to the United States of America. One thing is sure: before any nation is judged at this great prophesied gathering, it will first have to survive the coming time of unprecedented trouble on the earth. About that time, Yahweh shall prophesy, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor no, nor ever shall be. And that's going into Jacob's trouble. You know what I mean? Okay, you seeing all these different things going on in the planet, and if you don't, then that means that Most High got you spiritually blinded. I remember the person that opened my eyes to a lot. That the Most High used to, actually steer me on the path I am today. At the end of the day, as much as the Most High was dealing with, that's how the Most High can just give you up, or maybe it wasn't her lot to actually be, what I mean. Most High uses people, what I mean. We were speaking about the account about the no name prophet that was told not to do this, not to do that, not to partake and eat of nobody's food, not to, and he was deceived, because the guy deceived him, but that still doesn't justify it because it said in the scripture that the deceived and the deceiver are his. So basically, that was a test set up from the Most High. You know what I mean? He put the very person that was going to deceive him in his path. You know what I mean? But if he'd have followed what the Most High said, he never fell a victim to it. You know what I mean? I think a lion ate him up. It's in the book of it's in the Old Testament. I think it's in the book of Kings, Second Kings or something. Because I know it was after the time of Elisha. Um, Yahweh has stated specific guidelines for his future judgment of the nation. Some guidelines are general. They describe how he deals with nations throughout history. Others relate specifically to his dealings with nations during the time known as the apocalypse. Mm. And they're trying to say Jerusalem and Israel are inseparable, separated in Yahweh's economy, which is true. Because at the end, you talk about the northern or the southern and the northern kingdoms. And it's a scripture that talks about that. Bear with me for a second. This is the book of Psalms 89 and 29. It says, his seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, if they break my statutes and keep not my commands, then will I visit their transgression with the rod and their iniquity with stripes. Verse 33, nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take. I'm going to repeat it. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. Verse 34, my covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that has gone out of my lips. Verse 35, once have I sworn by my holiness that I will not lie unto David. Verse 36, his seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. Verse 37, it shall be established forever as the moon and as a faithful witness in heaven. So at the end of the day, what is that saying? That means that basically the Most High is going to be dealing with, his children, his beloved, the Israelites forever. You get what I'm saying? Now, yeah, a lot are going to be destroyed. 2/3 are going to get destroyed, but it will always be a remnant. You know, bear with me. Continuing, it says American and Israel lineage. Now, like I said, he goes off with the fact that he's trying to equate those, the gutter rats, those Khazarians, to the true children of Israel. It says Americans' relationship with the modern state of Israel began so differently than things are today. Those who have spiritual discernment to see the hand of Yahweh moving in the affairs of man know beyond any doubt that America was raised up in large part to bring Israel back into the promised land in preparation for the windup of history. Now that I do agree upon, because the simple fact is this is ultimately all the Most High plan. That's just like, for instance, this place is going to be destroyed with nuclear weapons. And he put those imaginations in the mind of these Edomites. You know what I mean? He allowed them to create the very technology that's going to destroy them and take them out of power and all that, you know. And he did, although that's not the true state of Israel, you know what I mean? That's some shit that, like, that's actually the synagogue of Satan, you know what I mean? As opposed to the true children of Israel, because the true children of Israel are scattered all abroad. I mean, there's enough scriptures that go into that, you know. But I'm going to stick with the lesson because I'm not going to just bring up every precept for everything I'm saying. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, there's enough brothers out here pushing the truth. And like I say, at the end of the day, I realize some people ain't going to get it. You know what I mean? You got people that sit up there and listen to the fact that they know they're Israel or whatnot, but they're not going to actually um, take a chance, or not take a chance, but actually follow it, because that's a commandment when it says to go out on the highways and hedges. That was a commandment by the Lord. So at the end of the day, if you are a so-called black, Latino, or Native American man, especially in Babylon, you are obligated to do this. You're supposed to be doing what we're doing. So a person that's actually you know you're Israelite, but you ain't. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody ain't meant to be prophets. This ain't for everybody. But at the same time, what are you doing? Like the brother said yesterday when we was at camp, you got a Jake, an older Jake. He came and he want to tell us about his life and all that. You see us on our platform. We're doing what we supposed to do, and you want to just come and tell us. At the end of the day, one of the brothers asked him. They said, "What are you doing to further, you know?" You talking about giving these people a job or trying to call yourself keeping them protected by giving them a job or housing. That don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you can't stop what's going to happen to them. You just can't. That's all up to Yahweh while Yahweh Shah. The United States has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hands used to bless the nations of the world. This nation, is history, validate Yahweh's promise to Abraham. Now, that's why I wanted to go to Jeremiah, because the way he broke this down is deep, because I didn't realize how many discoveries and whatnot actually was brought from Babylon. So this is Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken, and nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And you know, basically that they're drunken off the wine, the philosophy. Wine is another name for the philosophies, doctrine. You know what I mean? The ideologies. You know what I mean? Like America is at the forefront. Like you know, Taiwan. I actually posted it up a few weeks back. Taiwan actually passed homosexual marriage and all that. Did you know that? So if you go and research, you'll find out Taiwan is actually an ally of America. And therefore, that's why they're into the ideologies of America. This is greater purpose for America. Next, we must consider the profoundly great purpose that one attuned to Yahweh's reasons for raising up America in these latter days should not miss. The purpose is fits precisely with America acting as a nation state protector for modern Israel, which is to a certain extent the truth. I was gonna go into the three city state because at the end of the day, you got the Vatican, you got America, and then you got I think New York. Well, hold on. No, you got London, Slovakia. You got London, you got the Vatican, and then you got America. So America is their war machine. London is their financial center, and then the Vatican is their religious, like. But that's really just to dupe the people, because these people aren't selling. I mean, when they do that in your face, though, that Pope Salaki, that Pope got that Mitri on, and like I say, they show you how blind that people is. If you could literally look at that hat, people watch every fucking thing else. How can't you see? If you put an image of that Dagon and that Pope next to each other, you're gonna see that's the same fucking hat. And then to show you how hilarious they get, you got fashion designers came up with the hat. You had Rihanna. I forgot what that fucking event is that they do. It just passed. That one homosexual Jake that's married to the Edomite that wore the dress, the tuxedo dress. He attended the event because he's supposed to be considered in Babylon a very stylish homosexual. But long story short, Rihanna actually wore the similar hat. Like that was considered fashionable. And these people go spend lots of money on whatever event this is. I forgot the name of the event, but they getting freaky there. You know what I mean? Like, just best believe that shit. That's why I said this place sucked. It says the purpose fits precisely with America acting. I read that the connection is a matter that only the omnipotent hand of the power of the universe could perform. The Bible prophecy involved in the key manifestation of Yahweh's mercy that must take place before the return of Mashiach at the second event. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. That's Matthew 24:14. Now, at the end of the day, you got to take the time to think about it. Christianity, Catholicism has been preached all throughout the whole earth. But the prophecies haven't been unfolding until, the true doctrine, until the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, came out on the corners. And you got different factions and whatnot, but it all came from one. It was all started from one, one school. And it says in Scripture. I mean, what's that? Luke and Matthew says. In the book of Luke, he says, "I came to bring division." So that was of the Lord when that split up like that. Because you gonna still have people that's coming back in their own lots. You got different groups that's more carnal than others, and you got at the end of the day, all this was already orchestrated and set up from the very beginning, predestined, as you will. At the end of the day, but it wasn't Christianity's doctrine. You know what I mean? Come on, Christianity's so fucking retarded. These people read out the Bible that tells you that homosexuality is a sin worthy of death, but then they got whole churches full of homosexuals reading out the same Bible that condemns it. Catholicism, I mean, what the Catholicism is actually sun worship. Go look it up. You know what I'm saying? They worship everything but the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? They worship the mother. You know what I mean? They worship what I mean? Everything but, what I mean? They worship the archangels, and, what I mean? Everybody's a saint because we say you are. You know what I mean? Like, when the meaning of a saint ain't even none of these Edomites. It tells you in Scripture what the saints is. The saints were the Israelites. Slovakia. So the main purpose of okay. So it's in chapter 1, explosion. The United States of America has been at the very heart of the explosion of human technological progress. And that's why you bring out this Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Because this place was looked upon by all these other nations. I mean, like I said, when I was reading this, you know how many adventures was created right here in Babylon? And then, like I said, you got to remember, like, you got third world countries or villages around the country. Like, I remember I met a Hamite, and I worked with him at one of my first jobs I had, and he came from over there in the land of Ham on a scholarship. He was pretty intelligent, but they paid for him to go to school, of course, and but you get here, and like I said, like, that's the whole thing. They got, to show you how they manipulation and they witchcraft go. They got all these people thinking that this place is paved with streets of gold. And do you still believe that today? You got people sleeping outside, shit. Like I say, so I mean, where to go? That up under them sleeping under, what I mean, like, under them sleeping on top of it, like. Anyhow, it says America has no peer in this regard, even to this present hour. Oh, Salaki, I'm going to reread it. The United States of America has been at the very heart of the explosion of human technological progress. America has no peer in this regard, even to this present hour, and I did not know that. Just as Yahweh's hand of providence guided the founding fathers in bringing the country to birth in 1776, so his omnipresence inspired the American genius and industry residents in the nation to achieve things essential to the opening of the book of end times prophecy. And even when you go into that manifest destiny, how these Edomites assume, but it was all through the Most High too, because what I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, to lead up to what's gonna be the destruction of this wicked ass place. Because at the end of the day, manifest destiny is how they justified them conquering all of this land that they didn't discover. To show you how much of a serpent-like being this Edomite is. Take time to think about it. They convinced you to believe that they discovered something that had fucking people on it. This land had people already here. How the fuck did they? And that's what we amazed at, how sly a fucking Edomite is, though. Like, they'll sit up there. The Bible talks about my and our power and our God and my children and my, what I mean, my and our and ours, and what I mean, and those and us, and people forget about the fact then, what I mean, like, the same people that taught you this goofy ass bastard language, English, forget about, like, such things as subjective or a subject matter of a paragraph, or possessive pronouns. It go from ours to is for everybody. Ain't that about a bitch? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, okay. It says the prophet Daniel words resonate in our day. Though, oh Daniel, let me get it. Salakia. It says Daniel 12:4. Say, though, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. And if you can't see this is the end times, I mean, then like I said, you really pretty much spiritually undiscerned, and no one's I don't like you. He don't give a fuck about you, because at the end of the day, like you got all these things going on. You got people having dreams. You know what I mean? Like you got people just can tell or feel that something something dreadful was about to happen. But you got people so fucking stupid and so what's the word? What's the word? Disassociated from reality. You got Donald Trump talking about actually going to start a war, and they not even paying attention. They don't even give a fuck. That show you how just like out of it they are though. At the end of the day, right now is the easiest time to assess information that has ever been in the history of the world. You can go look up any fucking thing on this smartphone that they gave you, right? You could go research your actual bloodline or family history. I mean, as long as they got records of it. Yet still, you got motherfuckers caught up in some hip hop, love and hip hop for some dudes that don't give a fuck about you. You got people giving a fuck about, the Indians. I mean, just like all these distractions that's meant to distract you. Did you know in the city, I mean, when Rome was around, when that bitch was falling, they still was having the gladiator games. Do you know that that's how you know that this place is actually modern day Rome. The same game that they got with football today, they had back then. Anyhow, this foretelling by Daniel ranks as perhaps the foremost signpost encapsulating the present generation's place on Yahweh's prophetic timeline. When considering the question about whether America's anywhere in Bible prophecy, even if not mentioned specifically by name, the prophet's words tell us: one, there is a book that has written in it the end of all things regarding the human realm, which is the scriptures. You know what I mean? There's a book that has written in it the end of all things regarding the human realm. The Bible tells you about what is to come. It tells you how the world is going to be destroyed. Well, the world is not going to be destroyed. The world of these Edomites is going to be destroyed. You know what I mean? Like their world. You know what I mean? At the end, and even this book that I'm reading out of, actually, this guy that looked like an Edomite says the same thing we say week in and week out. Verse, it says, number 2, the book was purposely shut in order to reveal details about the end. And when it says shut, meaning people couldn't understand it or break it down. Now it's being open now. That's where we coming out with the prophecies and telling you what's to come. Number 3, the book was sealed during Daniel's time, and no one will be able to break the seal. Number 4, the world will experience a great population explosion near the end. Isn't today the most the biggest population ever in history? What is it, like 7-8 billion people on the whole planet? That's why they trying to actually eliminate and kill people. That's why you got all these fucking chemtrails and all this. They poisoning the fucking water. Come on, and to show you how it's really the power of the Most High, they have been doing that shit in Fleet, in Michigan. You know what I mean? That had been going on. I forgot how it got exposed. It got exposed, but come on, man. They said the fuck. They said they poison you now with the toothpaste. These motherfuckers created that fucking fluoride and then didn't know what to do with it because they can't just destroy it like that. So they put it in your toothpaste. Ain't that about a bitch? You motherfuckers believe in this fucking red devil though. The same motherfucker that's creating all the problems you gonna hope gonna save you though. Like it says in the book of Psalms 118, it said, let me get it for real. It says the stupidity of these motherfucking people. You can't even say it's just Jake either. Because some of these motherfucking Edomites just as stupid. Like when Dave Chappelle sat up there and said that shit, like, yeah, Donald Trump is gonna make America great again. He's not about to help you. He's more for me. You know what I mean? Like the fucking idiot. Bear with me for a second. This is Psalms 118 and 8. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put the confidence in man. It is verse 9. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. So at the end, who is your modern day princes? These governors and fucking the Donald Trump punk ass. You know what I mean? These heads of state and government and these different nations, and you got people that's actually putting their trust in them, and yet still at the end of the day, that's not gonna save you. It's actually gonna get you destroyed because these people ain't gonna give a fuck about you in that day. It says it says the world will experience a great population explosion near the end. Five, the people of the future time will go at a phenomenal speed to and from points all over the earth. Look at all the different ways you got to travel. Like they always wanted to do Elon Musk. I really, truly, one day probably go research this motherfucker because this dude. I mean, I researched him to a certain extent, but this dude, he came up with they talking about the Neuralink shit gonna be ready next year, 2020. Now they talking about next year, they ain't even got enough money to sustain the banks. But then they want to put the chip in you so you can have the okay, boo. He doing the Tesla fucking car shit. That's all electric. Then he doing the fucking underground, the speed bullet train shit. Then he doing the fucking SpaceX thing. That's like 4 or 5 futuristic fucking thing. Like, who is this fucking guy? You know what I mean? You better really consider and question that shit. And then to show you how stupid motherfuckers is, though, you gonna have so many people jump on that fucking Neuralink shit, but it clearly tell you in the book of Revelations that the mark of the beast gonna be in your fucking hand or your forehead. But you gonna dumbass people that get the shit still. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fuck? Because they want the new motherfucking iPhone to talk about something. Oh, yeah. They even promoting commercials where they show you the shit, man. Like that one, man. Let me see. It says man's knowledge would increase tremendously. And like I said, once again, you got tremendously, like I said, you got a tool in your palm of your hand that you can go look up anything that you pretty much want. That's how you know it ain't gonna be no excuse for, like I said, and that's how cold the Most High is. He ain't gonna just destroy you just like without no opportunity to repent. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's called grace and mercy. But eventually, this ain't gonna go on forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, perfect example is with Noah. You know what I mean? Noah set out there. If you ever really read the account of that, Noah prophesied for years. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just no like the fuck. So, men that's actually in this truth, you got men that have been doing this for 30, 35 years. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, when you take and compare how long Noah was doing it, but then eventually the end came, correct? Uh, then it go into Benjamin Franklin and let's talk about how he came up with the kite. You know what I'm saying? It goes into his son and all that. Which Benjamin Franklin was truly a fucking devil, though. Have you ever, like, what was that shit he had? That house where they was finding all the body parts and shit? Like, that's what these devils is. They demons, man. Like, the fuck? They drink blood and all kind of fucking shit, man. Like, they have sex with fucking animals, man. It's a American industriousness on display. It says Daniel's prophecy can be summarily ruled out as coming to pass in our day. Anyone who is willing to examine the progress of civilization in terms of technology from a perspective that puts aside bias against supernatural intervention into the affairs of mankind must acknowledge the similarities. Daniel 12:4 contains the precise prophetic exigencies that erupted from the relative technological darkness of the 19th century and are massively burgeoning in this generation. These are the ever-expanding base of knowledge and physical travel that can jet anyone to anywhere on Earth in a matter of hours, which is true. At one point in time, let's say, okay, for instance, like when we came over here on cargo slave ships, well, our ancestors, rather, Salaki, you know how long a journey that was? When they was taking us, and then people sit up there, and what really pissed me off is they say that the Indians or the Native Americans aren't the same people. Do you not know that they went through slavery too? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you not know when they was bringing us over here, they was taking them over there? You know what I mean? Like, the fuck? Do you not know when you was running, when your ancestors was running, or the ones that actually had the will to try and fucking run? They would run to the Gadites or the Native Americans and they would let them in. How do you think you got the Seminole Indians? You know what I'm saying? Uh, Additionally, we are transported by communication devices that move our expressed thoughts instantly around the world, which is true. Like I said, now we live in a day and age you can pick up a phone and call anybody pretty much anywhere. So, like I said, you know how long it took to send a letter from one place, and I mean, so if you can't see that we in a time of the end, like I said, the Most High don't like you. Uh, increase of knowledge. Increase of knowledge. The angel spoke of to Daniel, I believe, began with Gutenberg, and Gutenberg is the person that came up with the actual like printing press. You know what I'm saying? The first printing press. So that's when knowledge actually, was able to. That's how the Bible got out here so much for real. It says invention of movable type printing. Yahweh's word, the Bible, soon became more widely available as printing process advanced. And that was probably all systematically set up by the Most High, because at the end, at one point in time, to show you how you really everything is actually calculated steps by the Most High. At one point, you didn't have the Bible, everybody couldn't get it. Then it was released through this Gutenberg thing, and now we living in a day and age. In certain states, they trying to ban the fucking Bible. If you these the world is over. So we begin our look at the inventions that rapidly began spreading the word of Yahweh, as well as other information to a worldly world, basically in informational darkness. Until then, although America wasn't a nation when the knowledge floodgates were partially opened by the mid 19th century with Benjamin Franklin. I can't think of the name of that fucking house though. You got to look that up, because Benjamin Franklin, why they put this motherfucker on a pedestal? This motherfucker was a sick individual. I'm talking about, what was it, Hellfire Club or something? I think it was the Hellfire Club. Because he was a mason and all kind of up into all kind of shit. But they fought the house he owned, and they was finding all kind of fucking dead body parts and all kinds of shit in there. You don't know what them fucking Edomites into. It says Benjamin Franklin's early experiment in electricity as a foundation, Americans began to assert what can only be described as God-inspired inventiveness. This is what I really want to get at. Then I'm gonna bring out the scriptures and end the lesson, because at the end, like I said, I did not realize that America actually created so many different things. It says 1455 Gutenberg invents printing press. It says 1560 camera obscura primitive imaging making device. 1714 Englishman Henry Mill first patent for the typewriter. Charles Wheatstone reproduced the sound of primitive sound box, the first microscope. Joseph Henry invents first electric telegraph, 1831. Samuel Morse invents Morse code, 1835. 1861, Coleman Sellers invents kinematoscope, a machine that flashes a series of still photographs into a screen. Thomas Edison, 1876, patents mimeograph, an office copying machine. 1876, Alexander Graham Bell patents electric telephone. You got to remember, all these major inventions were started here, and I didn't take the time to realize that. So 1877, Thomas Edison patents phonograph with wax cylinder as the recording medium. 1888, George Eastman patents Kodak roll film camera. 1898, first telephone answering machine introduced. Wow, did you even know that? 1898, first telephone answering machine introduced. 1899, loudspeakers invented. 1902, Guglielmo Marconi transmits radio signals from Cornwall to Newfoundland. First radio signal across the Atlantic Ocean. 1912, Thomas Edison demonstrates first talking motion picture. So, the first motion pictures were created in America. 1914, first cross-continental telephone call made. So, 1914 was the first time they actually was able to call from another continent. 1916, first radios with tuners launched, allowing listeners access to different stations. 1926, Warner Brothers Studios invents ways to record sound separately from film on large discs and synchronize sound and motion pictures tracks upon playback and employment on Edison's work. Warner Brothers released The Jazz Singer, the first successful talking motion picture. That was in 1927. 1927, CBS was founded. And what is the icon of CBS? A fucking eye, ain't it? He would say the Illuminati ain't real. That ain't real. No. Invents first tape recorder for broadcast. 1934, S. Joseph B. Gunn invents first tape recorder for broadcasting, first magnetic recording. scheduled television broadcasts. Um, and then it's going into just more adventures. And like I say, well, you, it said the Sony Walkman invented in the 80s. HBO invents pay TV service for cable 72. Microprocessor invented considered a computer on a chip 1971. Um, ARPANET first internet started. And then 94, the American government released control of internet and World Wide Web is born, making possible communications at fast speeds. Then it go to increase in travel and all that. So what I wanted to get at was I'm gonna go back to Jeremiah 51:7, because at the end of the day, with all these inventions, and I ain't even name them all. This place has been a golden cup. It says Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Verse 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her and take balm for her pain. If so be, Salaki, if so be she may be healed. Verse 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, is lifted up even to the skies. And when it says forsake her, let us all go everyone to their own country, that means come out of her ways, repent and come back to the name of the Most High Yahweh Shai. Now that ain't for everybody, because repentance and salvation is only for the nation of Israel, for the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, when you take time to really follow and study these Edomites don't truly believe in the Most High. They're just so devilish and so subtle and conniving. They put on a front that make it seem. Who really, I mean, when you really see people that really have a zeal or really truly believe, it's those people I name. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we was talking about Moabites, like, the so-called Chinese and Ammonites, Japanese. Have you ever really seen what the Chinese people eat? You know what I mean? Like the so-called Chinese, they eat like fucking like frogs and like just and eat that shit with no hesitation. You know what I mean? Like all the unlawful shit. And then guess what though? Like if Jake was to eat that, you know what I mean? Like just look what the pig do to Jake. Like Jake be dying early as fuck, 65. You know what I'm saying? Like a heathen to eat them fucking frogs and all that shit that's actually unclean and unhealthy for you and live to be like 95 years old. That's how you know you got a separate dietary law as opposed to, these other people, you know what I mean? Who love the pig more than motherfucking most of these Jakes, these two-third Jakes? Esau. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. So it says Babylon has been a golden cup, but if you go into the book of Habakkuk 2, because at the end of the day, yeah, it's been a golden cup, but at the same time, it's a punishment for actually, getting these people drunk, all these nations drunk off of their wine. This is the book of Habakkuk 2, verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him and maketh him drunk. Verse 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory, drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand. So at the end of you didn't have these people drink of your philosophies, but it's a punishment for it because the Lord has a cup, and the cup that He gonna have you drink shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on the glory. Verse 17. For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts, which made them afraid because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land and the city. Sulakia, continue, and this is Jeremiah 25 and verse 15. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. Verse 16, and they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. Verse 17, then took I the cup at the Lord's hand and made all the nations to drink to whom the Lord had sent me. Revelations 14:8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon the great is fallen and fallen, the great city, because she made all the nations drink of the wine and the wrath of her fornication. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Verse 11, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night who worship the beast of his image, and so whoever receiveth the mark of that name. And basically that's going into, those that actually are left to suffer, that nuclear heat, you know what I'm saying, which is mentioned in scriptures multiple times. You got it mentioned in the book of Joel, you got it mentioned in the book of Zechariah, you got it mentioned in the book of the book of Isaiah, you know, Revelations 18:3. Slakia 18:3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Verse 5. For her sins have reached up unto heaven, and Yahweh have remembered her iniquities. 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she had filled, fill to her double. So that means basically that the things that these wicked ass Edomites done did to get this place, the atrocities they did to our people, as well as, because our people are the Native Americans, our people are, the uh, Latinos. See, Esau has a strategy, which anybody, Esau is subtle and very crafty and conniving and intelligent. He has that's why he called a snake. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he has a tactic called divide and conquer. You know what I mean? He got you up here fighting with your own people. Like, for instance, if you ever go into the history of what's the Dominicans and the Haitians, they divided by what, like a little line. They live on the same land, and they did something to make these people hate each other, but they the same people. I mean, you know how much power is in numbers, but like I said, divide and conquer. You know what I mean? It says, verse 6, reward her even as she is. So, basically, so like I said, the things, the atrocities that they took part in, like we was just speaking on that, like the buck breaking. If you understand what that buck breaking term is, do you really understand what that signifies? And then people sit up there and just nonchalantly, oh, that was in the past. They actually took a man out of his household in front of his wife and children and raped him in front of them. And motherfuckers so weak. That's why I said these niggas so fucking weak. You sit up there, oh, that was in the past. Like, the fuck you mean? And that's probably why our women don't respect us to this day and all that. You know what I mean? Like, it's the truth, dude. Verse 7, how much she have glorified her and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. And that's this place. You know what I mean? Like, that's why you got people like a fucking DJ Trump that can sit up there. You dead wrong. I laugh at DJ Trump, but like I say, I ain't gonna say I respect him. I appreciate him being in the position he is, because he gonna be the whole catalyst of more prophecies to come to fulfillment. Like, real talk. And the other thing I like about him, he ain't do no Obama with the, oh yeah, be on their team. Yeah, homosexual is great. He don't really fuck with him. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna let the woman sit up there and try to outshow him. You know what I mean? He a Edomite all day, but at the same time, he bring a more manly spirit. You know what I'm saying? It says widow and shall see. Because if you take time to think about it, if that fucking bulldagger Hillary Clinton would have won, oh my God, you know how fucked up this place would be right now? Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. But you got to remember, it's going to come quickly, though. And you seeing that now. Like, people don't even realize this. We're going to have a famine. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't even seeing the videos posted about how Walmart running out of food. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know what I mean? Farms actually got flooded and then produced their crops they supposed to. You know how many farms had to get bailouts by the government this year? Like, and when it hit everybody, that's when everybody gonna start panicking. Like, they ain't panicking right now because they can eat. They was panicking when they motherfuckers shut that government down, though, didn't they? Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord Yahweh who judgeth her. Verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. And you got a lot of people you're going to have a lot of people that's going to be like, yeah, fuck this place, but you're going to have a lot of people going to feel some kind of way because, the elites that rule this world actually make a lot of money here. You know what I mean? Like, this is the utopia that they described in those ancient, like, manuscripts and whatnot. This was like, this is what they think utopia is supposed to be like. A place that's just this fucking bugged out. This place is weird. And it getting worse and worse day by day. Like, it makes me regret I had children for real. But that was all the will of the Most High anyway. Verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And at the end of the day, in 1 hour, that is basically going into those nuclear missiles destroying this place. But Salakia, because I got like two verses to end, but this is the point I wanted to bring up because this guy Terry James, he goes into it. It says end time catalyst. America's influence with its brief duration of nationhood has brought mankind's physical comforts, luxuries, and reliefs from drudgery that no other era has provided. Although vast areas of world still wallow in squalor, technologies produced for the most part by this nation are available to bring those victims out of their tragic condition. It is the greed of tyrants, for the most part, dictators, that keep the very poor of the world under oppression. The United States has been at the forefront of reaching out to other lands and their peoples, almost to a fault. Much of the largeness that has poured from the American treasuries into these dictatorships has been scarfed up by the despots and put into their own bank accounts around the world. And that ain't what I wanted. It was supposed to be something that talks about the. Okay, it says, Christ's prophecy speaks to the time leading up to Armageddon and the very moment of his return to earth. He foretells that this is a time when all of humankind, indeed flesh of every sort, will be about to become extinct. What could be so horrific as to cause the denouncement of all flesh? There is coming a time when all the world's armies will be gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's Joel 3 and 2. Yahweh himself will gather them to the place called Armageddon. Revelation 16 and 16. It doesn't take a stretch of reason to think of something of a technological nature that could end all flesh upon planet Earth. It is technology that had its genesis at El Margado, New Mexico, with the first explosion of the atomic bomb. Not much time was wasted in demonstrating just how destructive that technology was to flesh. Now, what do we say all day as far as how the world's gonna get destroyed? Like I say, it's a few. Well, I'm gonna get into Zechariah. Zechariah 14 and 12. This is the book of Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Now, what possible actual like technology can actually have your tongue burn away in your mouth? I got another one for you. Isaiah 66 and 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. Verse 16. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. Now, what is capable of fire and destruction and killing a whole bunch of people at once besides ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile? Okay. So at the end of the day, our people got to contend with that too. You know what I mean? And that's why you got a time coming known as Jacob's trouble. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so great. It's like it. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And in the book, The American Apocalypse, it was talking about how when it went into Matthews, I think 24, 25, it was saying how there's going to be a time like none like it. You know what I mean? The time of Jacob's trouble was going to be the worst time ever for everybody, but more so for the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Native Americans. You know what I mean? Do you not even know about, like, they got a project on the books called Project Megiddo? You know, like, they really hate you to the point that they trying to kill you. It's not coincidence that you as a so-called black man gotta actually, you know what I mean, like the statistics of you not making it home in a day is like, you know, like it's not coincidence that you're targeted or, you know what I mean, like they truly hate you, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, yeah, it's gonna be worse for, you know, our people. But at the same time, the true believers, you know, the Most High is gonna actually, you know, it talks about how in the book of Isaiah that he's gonna lift up a standard, you know, and the standard goes into like a protection. You know what I mean? It's gonna give you strength. You know what I mean? But book of Zechariah also tells you that he shall fight for you. You know what I mean? Zechariah 12 verse 3. I'm gonna start at verse 1. Zechariah 12 and 1. The burden of the word of Yahweh for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens and layeth the foundations of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. Verse 2. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. Verse 3. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. Because at the end of the day, when you go into the whole like prophecies in the scriptures, like Book of Psalms 30, it's like Psalms 83, it tell you how all the nations conspired against us, like they still do to this day. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think all them summits is? You know, that's how you know this is really a spiritual thing. After all the hell and the torment that we go through, like, have you ever seen like you ever seen that movie Trading Places? Like that's why like when Edomites that had money don't have money, they kill themselves. Like when they lose all their money, that's why they jump off of buildings and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like they kill themselves as opposed to, you know, we so used to being without. You know what I mean? Like it's a blessing and a curse, I guess. You know, it is though. Because at the end of the day, a person used to not having nothing when shit go all bad, when this economy crashes, you know what I mean? You gonna be able to, you know, like I forgot what comedian actually made that statement. He was like, you know, but I know Chris Rock made a joke about it though. He was like, Bill Gates would kill himself if he had Oprah money. He said, motherfucker, jump out the window, cut himself with the glass. I can't even buy fucking fuel for my jet. Stupid dude. The last verse I want to get is Zechariah 12 and 3. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Salakia. So that means that the Most High is going to protect those that are faithful and those that He loves. You know what I mean? Like at the end, His people. This is the book of Isaiah 59 and 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh, while Yahweh shot from the west and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. H 51:27. That ain't a good. definition. I forgot where I read it at before though. I think it was saying like gonna, gonna give him protection. So at the end of the day, like I say, it shows that basically with those scriptures showing that it's going to get bad, but those truly believe the servants of the Lord are actually going to be protected in that day. So with that, I'm gonna end the lesson. I hope it was edifying, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory. Call halal Allah Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah Waha that's what thumb. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and sincerity, risking their lives and the freedom to do so. Shalom to the Akwaf and the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willing, it was an edifying video. Shalom to the confusion of face, brethren, join unto our ranks. Shalom to all the sincere believers and all those that's risking their lives and freedom to bring out this truth. Shalom to the elder apostles. May the Most High watch over all the sincere men and their families. And with that, Adawan Ratazah, I'm able to come at you with another lesson as soon as possible. And shalom, shalom, wa abab abal.